This is match point right now. So there is a very strong potential for DeMusliM to get knocked down.
And with that, we're in game number 2. Spawning in on the left side, it is going to be the only member currently of Team Liquid in Age of Empires 4. It is DeMusliM in red. And who do we have on the right side?
On the opposite side of the map, this is King of the Hill, so there's quite a bit of a way away. There's a bit of a peak in the center to get over to him. On the opposite side of the map, in the color blue, playing as the Chinese, it is the one, the only. It is TheViper. And goddamn, isn't he looking beautiful on the Chinese here? Imperial official out already, doing her thing. Actually doing his thing, it's a dude. I always forget it's a dude, but I don't know, maybe just the ponytail throws me off a little bit. You know, we're kind of zoomed out a little bit. Everybody looks like ants, that old thing. But, I'm curious to see how many scouts Viper opens up in this matchup, whether he goes for 1, whether he goes for 2. I think it's important to make sure that as the Chinese, you're looking to establish a sheep superiority.
Sheep superiority is a great tongue twister out there, as we see Viper is on 2 scouts, and he's been pretty successful finding all those sheep out there. This is actually very reminiscent to what we have seen from him in the set versus Lidakor, and you gotta wonder if Viper actually finds some sort of pattern in which the sheep spawn, because each map has to a certain extent some patterns in which sheep spawn, but some of them are much more inconsistent than others, and Viper seems to be continuously very effective gathering sheep. Would you look at that? That is once again 16 sheep under his control. Absolute madness. I mean, he is so effective on this map, and you really get the feel that he has gotten the good grasp of how the sheep spawn in this map.
Make that 17 sheep. Make that 18 sheep. He is a New Zealander right now. There are sheep for everybody. Every single citizen gets at least 1 sheep. It is your choice what you want to do with it. Whether you want to harvest it for milk, you know, sheep's milk's a real thing. Whether you want to harvest it for food, that is a real thing. Or whether you want to do something else, that is your choice altogether as a citizen of Viper's Chinese colony over here. But I'm looking forward to seeing how Viper plays this. I'm incredibly excited because this is a matchup that I've got difficulty with. English versus the Chinese. English, always a civilization looking to put on the pressure. Chinese, always a civilization looking to try and dish out as much economic damage as they can to their enemies while still keeping their head afloat in their own base. But do we potentially see a 2 town center Song dynasty here into a fast castle? That's what I'm thinking we will see here, Lidakor.
Possible. I mean, the thing that Viper really has is versatility with the Chinese. That's the #1 thing that you always look at with the Chinese. Super versatile, as you said. Could be 1 town center Song dynasty semi-aggressive. Could be forward Barbican of the Sun for the boar. Could be 2 town centers very greedy Song dynasty. It's very difficult to predict what the Chinese are going to do over here, and that is a massive risk as well for DeMusliM, because we could see him dropping a mill inside his base. So he wants to go for a farm-focused, eco-focused approach over here, and Viper knows that. And Viper has a variety of ways that he could potentially punish that with.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. So we saw in the first game, Viper looked to punish DeMusliM with an early 2nd town center. And the exact same thing can be done here in this scenario. I remember watching a game, Salami versus Don Artie, and so it was the exact same matchup. Salami drops down an early 2nd town center and completely dishes the English forces before they even get to the base, because Don went for a little bit more of a greedy build order. The same thing that DeMusliM is doing now. So could we potentially see that? We'll have to wait. We'll have to see. As Viper now drops down that Barbican in the center of the map, you can see all the sheep just sitting very happily around that mill down towards that south position. And oh my Lord, what a beautiful thing to see as a Chinese player. You can never be as happy as when you see this many sheep around a mill. The Imperial official going to be happy in it. Like that is basically 13, 14 minutes worth of food that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to make mills. You don't have to go out onto berries in crazy, wild positions. Like, this is so important as a Chinese player, and Viper is looking incredibly good because of it.
Yeah, it is such a spectacular spot for him to be in. The other thing to point out is that the Barbican is also going to be very well positioned. So he's going to have the Barbican overlooking that crossing that's coming off the hill. It's also going to help out protecting from attacks coming from the north. And it's going to help substantially just protect those berries and the mill in general, because as you pointed out, that mill is going to be the heart and soul of Viper's economy. So you got to protect that. And you see right now, Viper is once again trying to torch down that mining camp. This time around, DeMusliM is going to have the villagers out there. He's got the English villagers shooting arrows. So this is not something that Viper can really take down, but he can still damage the mining camp and force his opponent to repair, commit some wood to do so.
Yeah, this is something I was talking about in another matchup. Like, I was watching against a scout actually going to be going down. Look at the wood right now for DeMusliM. You can see it slowly trickling down, and that's because he's repairing it. And there actually becomes a point where it might actually just be worthwhile letting it die. I think for English as a civ, probably not, because it's very expensive, 50 wood to build a mining camp. But for civs like the French, which pay a very cheap price, it could actually be worth just letting it die and rebuilding it. But now Viper going to be heading out quite aggressively and looking to deny that scouting coming in from DeMusliM. As a wall going to be going up and Viper looking to play the late game, it seems.
Yeah, he's playing a very, very greedy game over here. And I don't really mind that because he saw the farms. He sees that DeMusliM went with only 2 villagers on that landmark. He's already dropped like 6, 7, 8 farms. So Viper can play an eco-focused approach over here as well. Voz will be finished not only on the south, but also on the northern side of the map. Looks like DeMusliM was hunting for that villager with that 1 scout. He's in danger of losing that 1 scout, the only scout DeMusliM has. Which means that after losing that, he would be playing blind. So there's a lot of risk involved with this one for DeMusliM. Voz will be complete for Viper. He's yet to start mining stone though, so it's going to be a 1 TC build, probably fast, Song Dynasty, and we could see the Jukenu pop out very soon over here as a response to those longbows coming in.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. One of the things to note, though, is the Jokunu is actually a very slow unit. So compared to the longbow, it is the exact same speed. The difference is the longbow's got 7 range, the Jokunu 4.5. So you really got to throw up the question. It's definitely in a heads-up battle, the longbow will lose to a Jokunu. But when you throw into account the fact that, typically you're going to have larger numbers of longbows, you're also going to have additional support there for those longbows. You're going to have you're going to have the arrow slits on outpost most likely. Do you really want to push into that position? That is the question. But now you can see that DeMusliM overlooks that little ledge. He's looking down upon the deer below it and looking to see whether any villagers have made their way out towards that position. But back towards the base of DeMusliM, beautiful farming economy is coming up back here. Not going to go too complex with it either. You can see he's just sticking with the good old-fashioned 8 farms in a nice little circle around, or it's more of a diamond, isn't it? Around that mill.
And looking at Viper, it looks like he has no plans to go into Dynasty. Instead, this is going to be a fast castle from him, and he's probably heading straight towards Palace Guards. So he's realizing that, okay, my opponent is playing an eco-focused approach, he's playing with longbows. What could I do? I could get up to Castle Age, I could get some Palace Guards out, and here's where it gets interesting. We talked a lot about the mangonel nerfs. Well, the Nest of Bees hasn't been nerfed, so if you want to go for that Palace Guard Nest of Bees composition, that is still viable and very dangerous, especially against DeMusliM, whose only army right now is just longbows.
Yeah, that is exactly right. Fast Castle definitely makes a lot of sense here, because the Nest of Bees going to be very effective. And keep in mind, DeMusliM may potentially look to be going into a battering ram himself, but then it just gets denied by the siege of his opponent. But we can see that DeMusliM is building up quite the bank of resources towards the top of the screen. So I think we might have double fast castles coming out this game. Nice little walls up, going to be able to prevent it. And longbows just looking to dish out a bit of damage, try and harass any villagers that they find, but not going to be finding too many, it seems. So the question is, where do we go from here? Both players now reaching the castle age. Who's in a better position? Who would you rather be? Would you rather be the Chinese? Would you rather be the English? Pick one, Lidakor.
Right now, I would love to be in DeMusliM's position because he's going to have a second town center going in. Remember, Viper is not in Song Dynasty. Viper doesn't have a second town center. So, villager count-wise, DeMusliM can pull ahead. And he also has a pretty good farming eco setup, whereas Viper is slowly depleting those sheep. So, at some point, Viper is going to have to make his farm transition still. Of course, he could go for the berries, hunts, and whatnot, so he can delay that quite a bit. But DeMusliM is not going to fall behind in Castle Age timing, and he's gonna be able to start building up a villager lead. This being said, if Viper gets to Song Dynasty, or if he goes for a second town center, or if he puts up a lot of aggression, I would rather prefer to be in the Chinese player's position.
Yeah, I guess the thing for me is I feel like the longer this game goes, or rather, I think this game is very likely to go long. The fact that players have now made it to Castle, we've got 2 town centers for DeMusliM. He's going to be intent on just, building up his village account. By the same token, Viper is going to know that there's a second TC coming out from him. So he's going to be looking to get that second town center out potentially as well. So I think it definitely goes long in this game. I think the longer that it goes, would you prefer to be the Chinese or would you prefer to be the English? And I still don't know if I still feel like the answer to that question is really unknown as to which civ is king in the late game. But I can't help but feel that in a game where there is focus around a single sacred site, that DeMusliM on the English he's probably in the favorable position just because of his ability to have trebs in the late game. But now we see the Palace Guards moving out across the map, doing a huge amount of damage in this scenario. They've managed to do a great job of chasing back all those longbows. We hear that Castle Age coming through from DeMusliM. And now look at this, a little bit of a sneaky stable coming in around the back.
Yeah, the Knights are now coming out as a response to those Palace Guards, and I do agree with you on the fact that this map revolves around on that one sacred site in the middle. So you really get the feel that it's not even about which civilization is better late game, it's going to be about who gets that defensive position in the middle, because both of these civs have great tools to defend positions with. Talk about the long-range bombards potentially in Imperial Age, we talked about the Nest of Bees. Generally speaking, Chinese is a pretty decent defensive civilization. On the other side, you have the English as well, so really it could come down to whoever gets that forward position right now. For now, Viper is playing a relatively slower paced game here, picking up the relics. He's also started to mine stone, so that second town center will soon become a reality. Looks like that villager might get intercepted by the Palace Guard, actually.
Struggling, but the Knight trying to clean it up. A couple of longbows there helping out. Monastery coming down, and indeed, down like the Monastery, the Palace Guard goes. Monastery looking to now take control of the relics. We have a look at the relics on the map at the moment. You can see there's one in the center, and then one out on each edge of the map. Now, one relic has been picked up already by Viper. He's going to be moving out for the second one down towards the south. Might potentially look to deny this relic in the center, but we can see, I think it might be DeMusliM moving out towards it.
Yeah, DeMusliM shouldn't let his opponent get 5 relics over here. That would be a massive boost. And if you look at the villager count, sure thing, that's 10 villagers lead right now for DeMusliM, but 5 relics compensates for that so well. In fact, in the long run, we could even see pagodas being added by Viper if this game goes very long. Spearman transition now on the way for Viper. Of course, supervising those barracks will allow him to get Spearman out really fast, grab the upgrades, and you see he's going to have enough momentum to secure that third relic in the middle as well. And things are starting to look worse and worse here for DeMusliM, because right now he's suffering from the problem that Chinese are just so flexible. He's tried to surprise Viper with a couple of knights, but Viper's reaction is so fast to this because he can just supervise his production buildings. And
yeah, well,
it's going to be a castle.
It's going to be a castle. The big thing for me is Viper is not doing anything you would expect the Chinese player to actually do. He is not going for a Song Dynasty. He is not going for a second town center. He is playing one town center, fast castle, into a keep rush on this central sacred site. And the question is going to be, how can DeMusliM respond to it? Because it's going to mean if this sacred site gets taken at 23 minutes, DeMusliM will have needed to have neutralized the sacred site. And it's going to be increasingly difficult for him now as Viper begins to move out. We can see the Monk standing by, ready to take that sacred site. And now we enter into a phase of the game that I don't think I've ever seen before. Viper sitting on one town center, looking to almost just not even consider investing in his economy. He's got wheelbarrow, he's got double broadaxe, but that is it. There's nothing else going for him with regard to his economy. He doesn't have a Song Dynasty. He doesn't have a second town center. He is just playing this very weird.
Yeah, it's almost like as if this was an all-in out here. He's saying, okay, I don't want to play a long game over here. I don't want to play against the English, which could have enclosures on their farms. I don't want to play against 20 trebuchets. All I want is to force my opponent out of his base. And you can see that initially he placed the castle on the right side of that sacred site. He then deletes it, places it on the left side because he knows that this would be a better castle position for him. But what's more important is that he's going to have the window to place it at. And now counterattack with the knights coming in. But those actually, yeah, they can't really get in without that Barbican being able to see them. And Viper, he's going to have enough spearmen back at home to deal with this. Look at that. He's sending the villagers to stone as well. He's going to work towards the second castle, and he's going to be ready to meet those knights on the battlefield.
Yeah, but do not be alarmed. Those knights will be able to easily get past that Barbican. I learned the lesson the hard way. I remember playing a game against Give You Anxiety, and I had a Barbican with some walls right next to it like that. I'm like, yeah, he won't run past. No, he will run past very easily. He won't even hesitate. And indeed, they do go past. Now entering into the berry line, and we can see that Imperial official going to be going down. That's an expensive loss right there. Knights almost getting a little bit lost as to which direction they were going to be firing off their swords. But it seems like now the attention gets turned towards the wood line. Villagers looking to evacuate, jumping inside the village for safety. Imperial official number 2 going to be going down. Viper down to 2 Imperial officials. One of them makes it back into the village, and now the rest of the villagers going to be making it inside. Viper doing a great job with his villagers, making sure to position them so that his villagers can jump inside at a moment's notice.
Yeah, beautiful raid over here by DeMusliM. I mean, he's really maximizing the efficiency of those knights. He picked off 2 Imperial officers, picked off quite a lot of villagers, forced a lot of reactions really from Viper here. the concern for the Muslim is that while this is all nice and dandy, if you look at his army count, it's not growing. I mean, we're looking at what will be 4 knights and 6 longbows, and look at what Viper has. I mean, Viper is working towards that second castle, and these are Chinese castles we're talking about. These do fire hand cannons with hand cannon emplacements rather than archer emplacements, which means that it makes them a lot more effective, especially against battering rams. So a ram push wouldn't really be viable over here, although, of course, for the Muslim, he would prioritize the trebuchets, but trebuchets are horribly expensive, so you're sort of in that position where you don't have time to really set up a trebuchet push, but a ram push that would be cheaper, that wouldn't really work out against a keep like that.
Yeah, I think you're 100% on the money with that. But now the concerning thing is Viper is very intent on making his opponent make siege, and he's almost preparing for it in the way that he's creating springles. We can see a little bit of trading going down right there. Viper going to be jumping into those village, keeping his villagers alive. We see the final relic getting picked up here. DeMusliM going only and getting 1 relic, so not going to be happy with that haul. I did try and contest that early sacred site unsuccessfully. But now we can see that the town center is going to be tapping away at those knights, and a single knight makes it into the woodline here. Going to be evacuating back towards that village, and you got to love the Chinese village, the way that it makes it just so easy for his economic units here to stay alive, except for that one who decided that 9 out of 10 will leave room just in case someone else wants to get in. Oh, I died. Not fun, not pretty.
Oh, the walls are complete on the north, though. Viper has lost a lot of villagers to those counterattacks, and he has had enough of that. Look at that villager count discrepancy. It's 36 in the favor of the Muslim, but what is he going to do with that? I mean, Viper is now fully walled. We're going to see the second keep being dropped in just a blink of an eye, and that is a trader. There's a trader queued up by Viper. You see the right side of your screen? I don't know if that's a misclick or something, but that's a
misclick. There's no trade posts on this map. That's a misclick. That is the ultimate misclick. Viper going to have an idol. He's going to be like, what the hell do I do with this? Oh my god, the story of the trader. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Golden League. Here we learn about the history behind the trader. The trader is still in queue. He's going to actually make the trader. I am more invested in this trader than I am in Viper winning a $125,000 tournament. Tell me what the trader does. The trader is out. The trader is out. It is idle. Viper has responded to it. He immediately makes its way towards the middle of the map. I need to know what Viper's reaction is at this point. He's got to be looking at it like, where did you come from and how did you get here?
He should send it to the Muslims market. Like, what else do you do with it?
I am here to trade. He's actually doing it. Look, he's heading towards the base. There's a marker there as well. He could do it. Can you imagine if he burns a hole through the wall and he's like, excuse me, sir, we have some important trade to do. This is concerning, though. The trader, I mean, it is a small diversion. The question is whether it's going to pay off. It's an interesting strategy, Cotton. So we now see Viper moving down towards the south. You can see a big knight mass beginning to build here. Viper's got 19 spears out. Still yet to get... Does he not have veteran spearmen out right now? Can we check?
He doesn't have veteran. Those are hardened.
Oh, it's okay. He's researching it. I was telepathically telling Viper, research the veteran spearmen. Nest of bees firing down upon the ground below them. But look at that timing on that wall. The wall just prevents any kind of run by, any kind of danger from coming out.
Oh, there's the trader. I mean, Viper, what else do you do with it, really? It's just an idle unit. I might as well send it to the Muslims' base, and it's like, the Muslims probably sitting there like, what are you doing with your life, man? But
can you imagine the Muslims' reaction? It must have been like, what the fuck is that? Like, oh, God, I wish I knew as well. Now, one of the things that we could see down towards the south, if the Muslim breaks through those walls, he could look to do a bit of a chopper. He could chop through that wood line and look to get behind that position.
Now, here's the problem that the Muslim is facing, I believe, and this is why these attempts to raid Viper's base are not really going to work out well. Viper, at this point, I feel like he's getting closer and closer to being able to afford losing his entire eco. Because he does not care. It's all about that 4-minute mark in the middle, and Viper is playing a very, very cheesy game over here. Like, these are the game styles or play styles that you would see from players like Salami, for example. Like, this is not that classical pro player play where, okay, I'm making a lot of army, I'm trying to play aggressive or build up my eco. No, it's like, I'm just going to all in the middle, play stone walls. You don't push my base, and you just have to push the middle. And we've been spending time over here looking at those knights roaming around. 3 minutes and a half left on the timer for the sacred side, and you have to blast through what is 2 Chinese castles, multiple defensive towers, and now there's a lot of springboards as well to respond to all of those trebuchets. I get the feel that this is already too late for DeMusliM.
She'll be coming down the mountain when she comes. Look at those springles just coming down the mountain, causing havoc. And now he's going to spot those knights out as well with the spears. Doing a great job. Beautiful engagement here for Viper. He manages to catch a couple of knights on those spears, but unfortunately, Viper, they're a little bit too big for you to eat, my friend. But now DeMusliM finally going to be kicking it into the 3rd gear. We see he is intent on taking this, and all the Nesta B is going to be suffering severe damage here as DeMusliM looks to try and take control of the game. The Springald's going to be doing a bit of a ring around the Rosie. At the same time, the Longbow's teeing off towards the keep. The trebuchets on the back line firing off, and Viper holding on for his life. All the Nesta Bs are going to be going down. A single Nesta Bs remains. No villagers here to repair it up. In fact, there were, but they've got their daggers out instead of their hammers out. And now the Springald's going in for a little bit of a kiss on the front line, making their way towards those trebuchets. Viper knows if the siege goes down, that there's no way DeMusliM is able to push this. There's 2 minutes left on this timer. The spears are going to be coming out, jumping out, greeting all of those delicious knights. And indeed, they look to roast them once again with the boiling oil coming out of that keep. And the question is, does he have enough time to take this? And I'm starting to worry about it right now. DeMusliM, he's got 3 trebuchets out, but he doesn't have any units to deal with the forces that Viper's got. Viper is just funneling all of his resources into units at this point in time. I think he might hold. I think the cheese might have actually worked here, Lidakor.
It seems to work, and you see he's even committing repair villagers to those springboards out there. He knows that it's all about those 3 trebuchets, and DeMusliM had to commit all his cavalry to sniping those nest of bees. He tried the diversion, flanked around from the south, but it was just insufficient. He's down to 5 knights, and you see with just 1:30 left on the timer, it is going to be still 2 castles standing. Trebuchets still in decent numbers here for DeMusliM, but the springboards are out there and those castles are standing strong. I don't think that DeMusliM has enough time as the Nest of Bees even unleashes hell on those longbows. The second volley could come out as well, and that should be the end of the story over here for DeMusliM.
Oh no, don't do a Nest of Bees. Look at the damage coming out from the Nest of Bees. Everything the Mangonel wishes it could be, as it cleans up at least 6 longbows in a single volley. In a single beautiful volley, and DeMusliM taps out game 1, going over to the Snake. The Viper looking incredibly strong in this opening game in this series.
He is looking incredibly strong, and he just took the entire series, man. I mean, it's 2-0 now, so...
Oh, he just won! Oh, I didn't even realize. Here I am thinking, oh, it's game number 1. Oh, he's going to be fine. He just won the series. Oh, my Lord. He 2-0'd DeMusliM. Oh, my Lord. Drongo, wake the hell up, my friend. You got to get yourself off the toilet and back into the casting booth, my friend. Wow. What the heck? Okay. Never mind. I would have got a bit more excited if I'd realized that was it.
Oh man, I mean, clinic really from Viper. Game number 1 was a good game from him, but the thing I loved about this one is that we have seen a lot of cheese from him. And this is what makes Viper a very dangerous player out there. Many people think about him as just, an exceptional, great meta player, very good macro, very good micro. He's also an innovator, so he really comes up with new strategies, new builds. But very few people think about him as a player that's also, in many ways, very cheeky and cheesy. And in scenarios like this, he's showing that. So it's like, this wasn't the classical Viper style play. This was much cheesier than that. Stone was back at home, fast castle into a castle drop, and it was executed so well. DeMusliM, he tried to react this one at least as it was appropriate. Tried to raid Viper's base, but I don't think that he expected such a strong foothold for Viper to be there in the middle.
I know that a lot of people might get caught up about you using the word cheese, but I want to explain it a little bit because I agree with you. I do think it's cheesy. Why is it cheesy? Because you never expect a Chinese player to do that. What is cheese? It's something that is not expected. It's something that's not meta. What do you expect a Chinese player to do? You expect him to make 2 town centers. You expect him to go for a Song Dynasty. You expect them to go for the late game if possible. You do not expect them to stay on 1 town center. You do not expect them to go for that early keep in the middle of the map and look to solidify that position. And you definitely don't expect them to stop making villages. If you saw that villager graph there, I'm pretty sure we saw Viper actually stop making villages at the end of that game because he knew he doesn't even need villagers. He had half the villagers of his opponent, and yet he was still victorious because he invested all of those resources into his military, and that is where the term cheese comes from. This isn't a 2 barracks proxy Reaper rush, all right? It is not that concept of cheese. It is a cheese in the fact that it was unexpected. It was a cheese in the fact that it was victorious, and very well taken by surprise there. Viper looking incredibly strong. I can't believe I wasn't even thinking straight. That's a 2-0 right there.